Because I mean, Khaby probably only got the support when he became quite notable, when he became a high tiered ranking TikToker. But I mean, do I need to have 200 million followers for me to really get the support? Welcome to the A1 podcast. My name is Moi Alarantaba and I am your host. And today I am pumped about today's conversation. I feel like it's one of the reasons I am so passionate about helping creators monetize sustainably, like have consistent income. We're gonna dive into this topic today. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Hi, nice to see you, nice to have you. I'm so glad you're listening to this podcast. And if this is your vibe, all about the business of content creation, you want to know the truth, you want to know the things behind the curtains, this podcast is for you. So I hope you subscribe. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, I hope you give us a rating. Let us know what your thoughts are. And if you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on today's topic, which is a reaction video. Now, I haven't done this before, but the last Tuesday of every month is a Q&A video. And today's Q&A is from Ayanda Tiboto, a subscriber, shout outs to you. And she sent me this article about Khaby and Charli D'Amelio. Now, these are two individuals who have made a mark in this world through short form content. And this conversation has me heated because it is really why I do what I do now, which is why the A1, my company, is focused on helping creators really monetize sustainably and gain, income from content creation, especially in Africa. So this article that she sent through is by Afro Tech. It was written on the 24th of June, written by Bernadette Giacomazo. Sorry if I butchered your name. But essentially, the title is Despite Khaby Lame dethroning Charli D'Amelio as TikTok's most followed user, he's still not the top paid TikToker. So her question was in regards to why, because obviously he's the number one content creator. He not just like dethroning, Charli, but he's the number one TikToker on the platform, which is incredible. So we're going to talk about that because essentially there's a number of factors that go into why, even though one might have the most numbers, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will be paid, firstly, or even the most paid. So let's go into it. So firstly, if you're like, okay, wait, who are these people? Let me explain. These are two content creators who have broken out through TikTok. Charli D'Amelio was the number one content creator on TikTok. Now, she has a family, a sister called Dixie, who's also on TikTok, and her parents, who I believe both or only one of them is on TikTok. I know the mother's on TikTok. I don't know what the dad is, but I love them. I love watching D'Amelios. To be honest, I am a fan of their content all around. And they moved to LA in the United States because of Charli's growth. And so the family really backed both individuals, Charli and Dixie, in their content creator world and in their move to it being a business. And then we have Khaby, who is African. We love that. Khaby is originally from Senegal, and about 20 years ago, his family migrated to Italy, where I believe they now live. And during the pandemic, I believe he was working in a factory, and during that time, he started creating content. And it's literally the simplest content. He doesn't speak in his content. You've probably seen his videos before, reacting to different videos where he just shrugs, and it's really a comedic spin on reacting to videos. And he has now I don't want to say dethroned, even though like all the articles and stuff are like dethroned. Essentially, he is now the number one followed TikToker, which is incredible. However, the reason why Ayanda was sending me this article that she wanted us to talk about was because even though he is now officially the number one, he's the most followed creator on TikTok, he is not earning more than Charli. So Charli earns about $105,000 per TikTok post, while Khaby makes about $90,000 per TikTok post. This is also according to the article in Afrotech. So the big debate was really about the wage gap between Black content creators and white content creators. Now, like I always say, when it comes to content creation and monetizing it, it's not as simple as creating content and gaining an audience or subscribers and followers, and then all of a sudden the money falls into your lap. That's not how it works, right? There's a science behind the business of it all. And even though Khaby is now the most followed TikToker, there is the back end that still comes into play. So let's talk about the wage gap between Caucasian content creators and creators of color. Essentially, I truly believe, and this is one thing I'm so passionate about, and that's why the A1 is really focused on equipping and helping, African creators of color when it comes to monetization, is because the support with Caucasian content creators and support when it comes to creators of color is often very different. So you've got Charli and Dixie, who have grown incredibly during the pandemic, and their family decides that they're going to make the decision to leave their hometown to go to Los Angeles, where, the mecca of the media world, to essentially help help their children advance as content creators and really formalize it into a business. Then you have Khaby, who is Senegalese, and his family migrates because they probably want a better life for themselves, and their knowledge of the media industry, one, might not be as high. Two, the support in terms of, do they have access to other people, to friends, to networks who have knowledge of the media industry? And three, when it comes to especially creators of color, there's a lot of black tax that comes into play. There's a lot of supporting of the parents, sometimes supporting of family members, aunts and uncles, that even plays a role when it comes to the formalization of the business of content creation and how much money one can make of it. Now, even though Khaby is now the most followed TikToker, essentially his start might have been a little delayed in gaining the information, gaining the support in order to monetize his following and really establish him as the incredible creator that he is. I truly believe that Charli had the support to really establish herself and her business and come in at a rate that she can continually grow on. But with a lot of African content creators, sometimes when they start, they don't start with as much information. And so their starting rate sometimes is lower. Then it becomes harder to jump from one rate to a big rate, because sometimes it's hard to make sense of that to companies and partners. However, achievements like Khaby now being the #1 content creator can really help in, aiding that jump to a high tier rate. And so even though a lot of people are like, why is Khaby not earning as much as Charli? It's not that simple. There's a lot of support and knowledge, of which Khaby now, I am so excited for him. He is the face of Hugo Boss. He has really, gotten himself some incredible deals. His team is now formalized. That's why I'm so passionate about African digital content creators having the knowledge that sometimes is so readily available for Caucasian creators. And there's no doubt that as a white man, Charli's father, he can walk into rooms and people will trust what he says just because he's a Caucasian man. There is no doubt about that. That has a privilege attached to it. Or whereas it comes to an African, the trust in especially those big deals sometimes isn't as high. And so these things all play a role into that wage gap. And so I truly believe on the continent of Africa, and for African creators outside of Africa, like Khaby, the support for creators to formalize their content creation into a business is still greatly needed. Now let's bring it to the continent. When it comes to Caucasian creators versus creators of color, I find that the disparity, the wage gap, is often in those initial phases of starting to monetize. I find that Caucasian creators can oftentimes start their rate a lot higher because they have a bit more knowledge. However, when it comes to growth, a lot more creators of color can grow rapidly on the continent because the majority of the continent is of color. And so their following can really soar past a creator who is Caucasian. However, it still does not mean that they will make more. And so the formalization of content creation and monetizing it is a different science that a lot more people have to take into consideration. I am extremely excited about what short form content is doing right now, especially for third world countries. Khaby, he was working at a factory. He did not have as much means, let's say, as another individual, but all he needed was cell phone and creativity. That's it. But what it means is that a lot more African creators, whether they're Caucasian or creators of color, can now grow rapidly. But if they don't have the business side to it, that support to it, they're still trailing behind. Because I mean, Khaby probably only got the support when he became quite notable, when he became a high tiered ranking TikToker. But I mean, do I need to have 200 million followers for me to really get the support? That's the part where a lot of creators of color right now, I firmly believe we need a lot more support in the knowledge, the understanding of the business side of content creation. For the full version of this chat, make sure you check it out on all available podcast platforms. So I hope we see more companies really invest in creators, in offering that support to creators of color, especially on the continent. As the A1, we want to educate as many creators as possible so that they have that support and so that we have a lot more stories like Khaby, like Elsa, and also that it doesn't require one to leave the continent to be able to have that level of wealth from the hard work that one does. So I am so curious to know your thoughts. And if you are not following both Charli and Khaby, check them out. I think they both create really awesome content, so make sure you do that. And so that's it from me. I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, if these kind of conversations are one that you enjoy, make sure you subscribe to us. Click on that notification bell. Also give this video a like if you want more conversations like these. And if you have not checked out our last Q&A that we did where we called a creator a PUA live on the podcast, check out this video right here. This one. Yeah, that one.